That's where this whole thing is all about.
Ji, very important. Ji, we're looking forward for all your guidance, and inshallah, in today's session, we'll try to uh, bring you on board more intimately as well on the
Sure.
project and the ecosystem that's unfolding around it.
Can you
So,
hear me?
Proceed.
Let's the audio is fine.
Yes, audience fine, sir, and we're live.
okay,
Uh,
Okay.
that's a good surprise.
Now we're live. Assalamu alaikum,
Excellent.
audience. Welcome to this first webinar. I'm your host and moderator for today. I'm Imran Jatala. I'm leading National Incubation Center for Aerospace Technologies. And we're excited to start this webinar series with global experts and mentors so that we can learn from them and the nascent Pakistani startup ecosystem, especially in aerospace and high-tech manufacturing sector, can benefit from them. And we're really excited to have two amazing speakers with us. And the first one in the real guru of aerospace industry, Dr. Azam Arastu, with the 3 decades of experience in aerospace, space and satellite. He's former VP of with Boeing Defense and Systems, and he has an elaborate experience career with Boeing. And thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me.
And the second speaker is Air Commodore Dr. Tausif Rahman. Dr. Tausif has his PhD from Georgia Tech, and he is an electrical engineer and an expert in computing. He has a patent, US patent. He's an innovator and inventor, and currently he is PD Technology at National Aerospace Science and Technology Park, NASTEP. So thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
And today's agenda is like an icebreaker. We're starting a discussion on aerospace and high-tech manufacturing industry in Pakistan. In the program flow is that first Dr. Azam will share his experiences and will guide us how Pakistan can build a vibrant aerospace and high-tech manufacturing sector in private sector in Pakistan. And then this would be followed by Dr. Tausif's talk, and he'll be sharing his vision and NASTAP's vision to build private sector aerospace industry in Pakistan. And then we'll open the floor for question and answers. So over to you, Dr. Azam. Uh, how do you see the global aerospace industry and how Pakistan can earn its place in this global industry?
So, is there a way I can share my screen? I have some slides I can show.
Yes, sir. There is a present button down there.
Um, okay, give me a second. Just give me a second because I'm not used to this new system. Um,
No worries at all, sir.
okay, okay. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's sharing.
Okay.
Yes, now we can see, sir.
So, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Imran and Dr. Tosi for providing this opportunity to speak in front of this very august audience of Pakistan aerospace scientists and engineers. Fortunately, unlike many other countries, Pakistan's aerospace industry is not new, and we are proud to have a fairly vibrant aerospace industry, uh, especially on the aero side. So, aero side is pretty vibrant. We've got decades of experience. We've got some real good assets that we have built on that side. So, I'm going to elaborate how we augment that to go to the next stage and also add a new dimension this time on the space part. Space part में भी थोड़ा काम काफी कुछ काम हुआ है, but not as much as I would have liked to. Maybe from what I know, I think there's a lot more needs to be done. So I'm going to add that in this talk. So first, let me step back and talk about the trends. Step back and say where is the world leading up to? I always like to stand back and say, where are we heading? We have 75 years of history. Where is the world going, and where is our position in that world? And this global aerospace economy, what is our slice in that economy, and how do we get a bigger slice of that? So that's where, so we need to look at the trends in overall, where the globalization changes thing, demographic changes are taking place. There are huge technological changes that is happening right across the world. Urbanization increasing, because aerospace is not a short-term 2 5 years plan. Aerospace is really multi-year, sometimes multi-decade planning that we need to do. So we need to understand the long-term trends for the way things are. Then, if you look at the industries, it's very important to see where the money is. Money talks. And if you see where the industries are, if I had gone about 20 years from now, they were all big, heavy mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, big aerospace companies. They were the multi giants of the industry. 2020s, that's no longer the case. It's mostly all software companies. They are the ones, there are some, if I look at the 2021 list, they're dominated by mostly software or semiconductor companies. There's Saudi Aramco also there in the energy fields, but largely, but if I had taken another 20 years before, it was all, Ford, Boeing, General Motors, those were the dominant. And then going forward, 2030, if I take that list, almost entirely that list is composed of software companies. Tesla, which is really a software company, now venturing into some of the big industries. So this is the change that is happening. It's these guys what they have done in software companies, new way of thinking, new way of doing business. They are putting into major conventional engineering, heavy stuff, and they are changing the world. So we need to understand those changes that they have brought through, and what changes they are bringing, what are the key elements they're bringing to the table. So and help and learn from them, and make sure we are getting ready for the next decades. So Tesla, of course, from the car, he is now dominating the space business, absolutely dominating. Similarly, Microsoft, NVIDIA is providing all the AI tools. The biggest AI engines is NVIDIA, TMC. This is the Taiwan semiconductor companies. Apple, Alphabet, um, Tencent, ASML. This is the Alibaba companies. BYD is again Chinese companies. So here's the list of companies which are really the next ones to watch out for, and they look, and the way they are doing business is really incredible. If I again look at the world that I see in 2030, which is not too far from here, it's only about 7 years, but it seems like a dream. I'm not going to go through this list of ideas, list of things that will happen or most likely will happen around in 2030, but they are game changing. And so what, widespread use of AI in the world economy, human like AI will become a reality. 5G global connectivity will be space based. 3D printing of human organs will be possible, and so on and so on. So, what are the things that are really pushing this? So usually I see in kind of missions and products, I develop where things like what is the mission pull, which is bringing new technologies in, and there's what is technology push. So it's really a balance of those mission pull requirements and technology push, which creates new and fascinating products. And again, if you look at data, we will be in a sea of data, an abundance of data, and high bandwidth data around the world. 5G is already here. It's going to be common. We will have global connectivity of 5G all around. Driverless cars, which are already here, which will be a mainstay. But to have driverless cars, just imagine the technologies go into it, the sensors, the autonomy, the AI, and the cost. and then put the whole thing into in a cost bucket which an ordinary person can handle. I mean, this is a picture of the car I own, and it's available today, and could do a fully autonomous cars. And this is how things are going. Again, I'm showing a car, but the same can be done on many different platforms in aerospace. Then satellite communications. We have thousands of satellites buzzing around already there, and I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the future in a minute. And they're lifting the whole internet backbone from ground to space, which means instant connectivity from remotest village, remotest place on earth on 5G platform. And just once you have that 5G internet connectivity, that provides a lot of benefits and applications that open up. A little, my uh, cell phone, which everybody has the power of major supercomputer a few years ago. Robotic machining, robotic manufacturing, then swarms of uh, robots doing all kinds of fun things. Then, if you look at the aerospace economy, it's almost 8.5 billion. These numbers. The numbers kind of vary depending on which group you look at, because they include few things and they don't include the others. Um, so Thiel estimates around 838 billion around. This is a 2017 number, but again, primarily it's aircraft engines, OEMs, aircraft systems manufacturing, civil and military MROs, which is maintenance, repair, and satellites. 7% are included in this, missiles, UAV, and others. But if you and again, if you look at the largest companies which have been taking the chunk of that business, are if we look at the top 10 companies: Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Airbus, SpaceX. This is these the mix of these companies keep changing, but these are the big guys who control most of the $1 trillion business. Let me share a little video to talk about the future of flight, and I think this is interesting to see where we are.
When you think about the future of aerospace, your mind might go someplace big. Taking a commercial flight to Mars at the speed of light, commuting to work on a passenger drone, or living in an airship the size of a small city. All good ideas, albeit a bit far-fetched. So then, what if I told you the real future of aerospace? It's happening right now, and it's all about, well, you. For the past couple of years, the world has been abuzz with news that we may be getting closer to commercial space travel. Private space companies seem to be breaking barriers every week, getting us closer to the dream of spending your holiday orbiting the Earth. Yes, that is one vision of the future of flight. But there are other huge steps in the world of aerospace that are being taken to help improve holidays down here on Earth.
The future, in the next 5 or 6 years, you're going to see a lot more tiny features on aeroplanes that the normal person in the street wouldn't appreciate. But they make a huge difference to both the emissions of an aircraft in terms of noise and fuel burn. And generally, it's going to be a drive towards a more sustainable future in aviation, because the emissions that you're going to put into the atmosphere, the drive to reduce that is going to be absolutely critical.
The future of aerospace is dependent on protecting our planet and the people that live here. That's why there is a push for changes, big and small. From hybrid planes that use both electric and traditional fuel sources to propel aircraft through the air, to new winglet designs that help increase fuel efficiency, even a little bit. We've experienced a turn towards sustainable energy on the ground, either in our cars or in our homes, so why not in the air? The future of aerospace might also mean not sitting in an airport all day.
So the future of airlines, aircraft, and the commercial world is all about getting people efficiently from point to point. So we're improving our technologies on the flight deck to enhance the capabilities of getting an airplane in and out of airfields. Sometimes when the weather's poor.
And in the future, when you arrive at your destination, you won't even feel like you've just flown halfway across the world.
Boeing, for example, has led the drive to reduce the cabin altitude So that instead of being at the top of an 8,000-foot mountain, you're sitting at 5,000 feet. It doesn't sound that much of a difference, but believe me, on an 8-hour journey, you're going to feel more human when you get there.
It's all these small changes that the average traveler may never notice. The price of your ticket may go down a little because a new lighter plane is using less fuel to get you where you need to go. You'll notice fewer planes flying overhead because they're too quiet to draw your attention. You'll wake up from a cross-country flight feeling refreshed because the cabin lights have synced up with your diurnal clock. Many people think the future of aerospace will be big, bold steps to take us beyond what we thought was capable, and it will be. But first, aerospace is going to make your journey more comfortable and try and help the planet along the way. But don't worry, you may still get that space vacation to Mars. This is the Farnborough International Air Show, one of the biggest air shows in the world, and a place that is as connected to flying and aeronautics as any other place on Earth. And over 100 years later, it is still synonymous with flight.
It's a celebration of flying. And as I drove in today, I saw people already lined up with their cameras ready to take pictures of these aircraft.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more videos.
Okay, so that was not a okay. So now let's look at the technologies that are fueling this change. So here are the major changes that are happening around in the aviation and aerospace fields. You heard about sustainability. Sustainability is the key word that's fueling a lot of innovation. In the sustainability means bringing fuel efficient, make the place better, the world better, using carbon neutral technologies, and it's also noise levels, make sure the whole environment is protected by various. So almost we looked at about 1,200 different new startups and figured out where the money was going again. So basically, these are the industries that they were coming from. Sustainability, artificial intelligence. I don't have to emphasize that anymore. You all know artificial intelligence will drive the world in a very significant way as we go forward, especially as we all know with ChatGPT and things, platforms like that. It's going to dramatically reduce the cost of aviation, cost of aerospace, cost of doing business, cost of designing, testing, all that. And again, huge area. Digitization, again, area which we have digital logs, the whole design being digital. We basically fly the design before we actually build the hardware. That makes it it's incredible how important that is. Additive manufacturing, this has revolutionized the manufacturing part, no doubt, both in aerospace and space, as well as in any industry. Additive manufacturing is an absolute total game changer. And we have Boeing at Boeing. We have been part of the. We actually led the whole additive manufacturing design testing. We basically led the whole team in many areas right across and all the platforms. Then advanced satellite technology, where we talk about miniature satellites, miniaturizing everything, and major smaller sensors, smaller things, and yet get smaller, small things, but get much better bang for the buck. Blockchain is another major technology that has been affecting and it affects right across all the platforms with the distributed systems, with a whole variety of systems that we have right now, with the very multi-level deep supply chains, when you need to understand exactly what is happening at every level of the supply chain, which is a major issue in aerospace, because you need to understand we need to have a pretty good control of the entire supply chain right down to sources. Blockchain applies that. Aerial mobility is an area which is again a huge growth factor. Aerial mobility means going from point to point in the best and easiest possible way. Air taxis, UAVs, supersonics, hypersonics, uh, uh, cargo delivery, air taxi from anywhere and go to any other city myself. And that's where things are moving in a big way. Immersive technologies, whole new game. Again, both virtual reality and augmented reality are helping in training and a whole variety of areas in aerospace field. All that requires very advanced materials. So there are a lot of work that has been done, and for example, carbon composites is one area, so graphenes and nanomaterials and advanced materials that are going through synthetic, materials that are going through at all levels of production. Here's things: structural health monitoring. Again, very very important issues. These are some of the top 10 technologies that I think. Interesting thing is, if you look at those 10 technologies, a vast majority of them are something that we in Pakistan can, doesn't require a massive investment in terms of capital investment. There's a lot of software skills and skills that we have in Pakistan, or if not, we need to augment and make sure we can capture and get be attuned to this and have a strategic plans to make sure we really uh, are not left behind as a lead, at least to make sure we have capabilities in each one of them in a proper strategic manner. Similarly, now if I move to the space economy, I consider both aerospace as one part, which is mostly aircrafts, both commercial and military, and rotary platforms and all those things. And then space is really satellites and rockets and whole thing that's going. That itself is almost a $500 million economy, moving to almost $1 trillion by the end of this decade. This is huge. This is exploding as we speak. And this is an area which I think really needs to work. We need to get this thing working in Pakistan. And again, so we all know space. We got popular because of the. You can do it this way. Yeah, so space exploration. People like us, like me, actually, who got into space was watching the Apollo program way back in '60s. Then shuttle in the '70s and '80s and '90s. The shuttle, dominated the whole space industry. Expensive assets, but it really led to the construction of the International Space Station. And I joined my space journey both at the end of the shuttle and at the beginning of the space station program. I spent almost 15 years, majority of my space career in building the space station orbit. Then those were on the human and expensive high. And again, space exploration, it brings the science and technology in the fold, but the focus on more on the commercial side. The other aspect of it is satellite communication. Basically, what you do is you send a signal up in space, you beam it down, and you connect any part of the world. So this was a very small satellite that was built by Boeing in 1963 called SYNCOM. And today what we build is these giant satellites, which are almost 200 kind of transponders, very high bandwidth. Boeing as a aerospace company, what we do is we've been building satellites, we've been building aircrafts and so on for 50, 60 years, and similarly satellites for almost 60 years. And just like the aircraft production facilities, we modularized it. We have a flexible product line architectures. Similarly for satellites, we started with the SYNCOM, and then we started for about 20 years. We simply still have this rotary spin stabilized satellites till about early 70s, when we could have enough control authority to have a 3-axis stabilized satellites, where we can start growing bigger and bigger. And we have these giant satellites because now you can control the solar rays to point to the sun all the time. So now we have these huge big satellites. These were all sent into what is called the geo satellite, which is 36,000 miles away. But all that was done by big government companies. Most of these satellites here were about cost about $500 million each. So two satellites plus launch, and it's about $1 billion program. It's very expensive things. Then came the new companies like SpaceX, OneWeb, Blue Origin, which is Amazon, Relativity Space, Galactica, and so on, who came with a software mindset. They wanted to revolutionize this industry and make money. And this is all about money. These companies will not go into any areas if there is no money. So the reason I'm stating this is because this is no longer just a science adventure and scientific curiosity, but it is a huge money making opportunity. And so these are all startups that have started recently, and they are now almost dominating and pushing away all the major legacy aerospace companies behind. Top among them, again, the SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's, and Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and Virgin Galactica, which is Richard Branson's. And they're building satellites as well as launch vehicles. Then I want to spend a little bit of time on the new things that are coming on the horizon. Why, instead of going from this massive, tons, huge big satellite, which are almost 3-story building high in a folded, stored condition, we're coming to a modularized, simple 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter cubes called CubeSats. So these are incredibly easy and provides dramatic reduction in the design, integration, and test times, and becoming increasingly popular in the space industry. The miniature and low cost and the low power sensors that are available for this. And then there are plug and play assemblies. But also, this allows dramatic reduction in the launch cost. So essentially what we get is a kit of parts. We can just simply stack them, and they're all built on the same form factor. I can buy these components and plug and play and attach them and create any particular satellite I want. So here are the satellite cube kit parts that are available around the world. Many companies simply sell these parts. If I want a thruster part, I press the card, and they're tested, they're built to fit the same form factor. So if you want to build a satellite, I can do it really within a week, buying these components and integrate them, build it, test it, and launch it, and put whatever sensor I want. If I want a imaging sensor or a LiDAR sensor or a hyperspectral sensor or whatever sensor I want, you can put it, and it needs the same thing. It needs the power, the structure, the command and control, the thrusters. So those things are what we call the bus part, the standard part, and then you add the payload to it. And there are many companies, even our Boeing, Lockheed, and all of us, we are buying these companies off because the world is changing that. So we have, and they are designed and put together in a very low cost atmospheres, and we can achieve an incredible amount of information. We have these small companies which are now mapping the entire Earth and giving you very high resolution imagery for a fraction of the money. And you also go some deep space missions going to Mars and so on with these CubeSats. So this is an area which I'm passionate about. I want to really start this thing, and I think Aerospace Complex is a probably perfect area in collaboration with other space agencies to have a factory where we actually build these things, we build these components, and have a stockpile of them, and so we can mix and match them and create different sensors and launch them. And launching is the next part that I will talk about, because we can build these satellites, but the next thing is to be able to do this. But we should be able to have the small test facilities to do these things. And I think this is a perfect place for Pakistan to get into in a big way. Next thing that is happening on the horizon are constellations. These satellites now coming through, and you're really big. So we have heard about Iridium Next satellites. I don't know if somebody has used it or not, but these are satellite communications, SATCOMs. It's got about 66 satellites. This is already operational. The next thing that is already on orbit right now, most of the system is already on, is called OneWeb. This is 650 satellites. It's a actually, this is even Indian company is part of it. India owns a big chunk of this, along with, but the satellite system was built by Airbus. Then the next big thing that's coming on horizon is the SpaceX. It's called Starlink system. This will provide very high global connectivity with almost 30,000 satellites, and this most of the system is already operational. It's under beta testing right now, and the full system will be available to around the world very soon. Similarly, Amazon won't be left behind. They put up 3,500 satellite system called Kuiper. This is all in LEO. LEO is near. You have to come because of the latency factor, and that's why we need so many satellites. The next one is in the MEO orbit, which is around 15 to 20,000 kilometers. GPS network, we all have been using it. That is again a Boeing network. That we have about 32 satellites constellation. That's NEO. This is for communication, is basically for navigation. So all our both and militaries are connected with this GPS navigation system. So many other countries don't want to depend entirely on US, so they have Galileo systems, GPS, Baidu. They all have, many different countries, they have their own navigation system, including in China, because they don't want to be completely reliant on GPS, especially under conditions. Then there's another network called O3b, stands for Other 3 Billion People network, and that provides full communications from MEO through. Again, this is a commercial satellite system. Boeing built these satellites, operational right now. So OneWeb, just go 1.3. The Starlink sites, basically satellites connecting to. Plus, they also have, these are providing Ku band connection, very high bandwidth across the system, and you get a antenna like this, and you can stay in a hilltop somewhere. You can stay in any jungle, or you can sit on top of the Himalaya, and yet you'll have 100% connectivity around the world. Similarly, this is the OneWeb system that is already up there. Most of the satellites are already operational. And you end up with this little antenna on top in a remote village or a school or a dispensary anywhere in the world, which costs under $500, and you have full connectivity. What are the key enabling technologies which are providing this? Phased array antennas. The biggest problem and the cost was the antennas. How do you connect them and then be able to point them, especially when you're in LEO, where these satellites are whizzing through very fast? You need to be able to point the satellites and antennas. So you do all electronic beam steering, and you can do that by this solid state device like this, where you electronically move the beams, and you have a transmitter at the satellite and the receiver at the bottom at the user end, and you provide this connectivity. So nothing moves, and yet we have full connection to the system. Another major change that is through is getting all electric thrusters called Hall thrusters and ion thrusters, which has dramatically changed the whole, because they are almost 10 to 15 times fuel efficient than compared to the chemical propulsion. So you don't need to carry huge big tanks, and the volume of the satellite, the mass of satellites, is dramatically reduced because of the electric thrusters. Low-cost modular CubeSat, I already talked about this. High-power solar arrays. This is, again, we need to, if we're electric, we need more power, and solar is the natural choice. We need to be able to get a lot of power with the cells. High bandwidth laser links to be able to connect the satellites in orbit from to be able to provide a gigahertz level links. You need laser links, and that's again done. And again, the cost is dramatically low. Of course, 3D printing. I can't say enough about it. Additive manufacturing and subtractive is incredibly changed everything. And then reusability. To be able to have enough control authority to reuse systems has dramatically reduced cost and made everything possible. Another important thing is the role of private-public partnership. This is an area I think. Again, I would strongly recommend we think through this carefully and allow public private sector to play in and join hands with the public, rather than everything in a public sector. uh, Allow private sector in a controlled way. Government, in my view, should be a smart buyer. You buy the best of class products and assets. You and basically government job is to provide the strategy, to develop the technical, industrial, and human capital, to protect national strategic and national security, provide regulatory framework and for these investments, and provide strategic direction and for the investment, and foster A&D, aerospace and defense infrastructure development. Private industry is where the innovation is. Private industry is where agility is, the efficiency is. So you need that combination of both to propel, and that is what is happening in US. It's completely changed the whole aerospace sector. Is the same thing in Europe. It's same thing in India, and also same thing happening, believe it or not, even in Russia. I do a lot of work with them too. So even they are now opening up private industry. So it's the private public partnership. We really need to get this thing. The framework of this needs to be done in a coordinated manner, so we to really invigorate our aerospace industry. And lastly, I want to spend a couple of minutes on launch vehicles. When you talk about these thousands of satellites to go up into space, somebody has to launch them. Even if right now Pakistan has good history on missiles and so on, but I, I think I'm talking about launching satellites into space. That requires a little different. I think it's a very easy, not a too difficult segue from that into going into space launch vehicles. And I think that needs to be done in a proper, organized manner where we not only build our satellites, we launch it. We're not dependent on somebody else, because if you're dependent on somebody else to launch a satellite, the game is over. For any asset that you want to put together, you need to know exactly when you want it, where you want it, and nobody should know how we do it. And so that is it. Now, these are big, heavy duty rockets. I'm not talking about that. If you talk about these smaller satellites, the good thing is the launch vehicle becomes smaller, and that makes our job easier. The entrance to launch vehicle business becomes barrier to entry has gone down significantly, and the cost goes down significantly. So this is one area that I would strongly again recommend to the authorities, to the planners, that we this is an area which we again divert our attention, and make an entire system together to be able to launch our satellites, build the satellites, and do everything in house. I think that's where I would end. Uh, I think I've done my spent my 30 minutes, so I'll leave here and wait for questions.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really delightful to know so many new avenues. I was really surprised about CubeSats, and my question would be that probably Satoshi can add on to, maybe we can compile all the questions till the end. But the public-private partnership is where we can really listen to Dr. Tosif, because the idea of NASTAP is really the triple helix model, bringing the government, the industry, and academia together, and providing that enabling ground where the private industry can do the magic with the help of the government and the academia. So over to you, Satoshi, and if you can please share the vision about NASTAP and tell us how this
Yes.
public-private partnership or the triple helix model of innovation is helping the Pakistani aerospace and high-tech manufacturing industry.
So yeah, I just was looking for, maybe if there's a way I can share my presentation as well.
Yes, sir. There is a button down there by the name of
Yeah.
present,
So
setting next
it
to
wants to upload a file. So let me just quickly do that. Okay. So
we're getting some questions as well. So guys, hold on. We'll be putting up these questions on the end.
okay. So Please choose a smaller file. The size limit is 50 MB. I don't know. How do we do that? My file size is 50. Is there no way I can share my desktop or share screen? Okay, I have a share screen. Okay, great.
Yeah, share screen, sir.
Okay, so this is aerospace industry. Get webinar. Oh, wow. Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen.
Noor, can you please help with sharing the presentation? Yeah, it's sharing now, sir.
Okay, great. So I just want to thank Dr. Azam for giving a very motivating primer to what is about to come. And so I think I can't add anything to the criticality of the industry that Dr. Azam has pointed out. And from the platform of Boeing, I think this is really coming right from the cutting edge. So really, there's nothing much to add on the technology side. My aim today in the next 10, 15 minutes is to make the relevance to Pakistan and also make it look achievable, what we can do, and how we view the industry and what we're doing in this regard. So just mostly targeting our Pakistani audience, and if there are any international, to basically collaborate, how there are different ways to collaborate with the this National Aerospace Science and Technology Park initiative that is taking shape very quickly here. And I think Imran can attest to this. So just giving a brief overview, I think most of the people who are here are familiar with the aerospace industry. The way we view it is you have the OEMs providing the platforms, and they're supported by a huge an array of technologies and areas. Some of them we know as tier one suppliers. So it's really a global value chain which extends all domains of technology, some of which Dr. Azam, in fact, all of them he has touched upon, SATCOM, and so this is really, while OEMs are few and far, there's a cutting throat competition. But as far as the industry is concerned, it's really a global industry, and there's ample opportunities for people coming from different technologies. Secondly, we view it as a very strategic industry, which traditionally or historically has shown that all the developed countries have actually utilized it to not only develop their aerospace capabilities, but to stimulate and catalyze the technologies in various areas. So now we see it impacting every possible dimension of human life, whether it is medicine, agriculture. So really looking at that holistic view of the industry, we felt that Pakistan, with its existing capabilities, could make a play into it. So that's what I like to showcase. So the figures for the aerospace industry, I think, very amply for commercial aviation and some of the other figures that Dr. Azam has shared. We really see it as a multi-trillion industry in the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to grow at a very fast rate, and it encompasses a wide range of services, wide range of platforms. And then there is a civil and military share as well, of which Pakistan is mostly active in the defense with the JF-17 and our program at PSC. We have been mostly active in the defense here. We're missing out on the global commercial aviation industry. G. Am I not audible?
Slides are not.
Slide are not moving?
Yes.
No.
So is it?
Yeah, it's moving now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, so it's not in the presenters mode, so it's, I think.
Maybe you can put it in full screen mode, sir.
Okay. Let's see.
To the right.
जी, अभी ये readable है?
Yep.
Yes.
Is it? Okay, great. So motivated from that, we started looking at it from what is the outlook, and generally we found out that the aerospace industry. I don't know if to what extent Dr. Azam will agree, but we saw a shift from west to east. The industry is moving, primarily driven by a burgeoning middle class in the east, and strong macroeconomics, increase of low-cost carriers. This is some dynamics that the industry is now shifting eastwards. While the technological domination still is maintained in the West, there's a huge shift, and that basically is a motivating factor. Not that I'm saying that it's going to lose its foothold in the West, but I think that is a motivating factor that countries like Pakistan can start getting interested and in this space. And more encouragingly, there are ample opportunities for new entrants. This is primarily driven by high level of consolidation of the integrators at tier one levels. There's extreme competition. So due to the cost, so tier two, tier three, there are new opportunities coming up by lower costs. So this actually is always, so either it is innovation or it is the cost competition that lets new entrants actually get into the game as well. And there are ample examples from the successes that India to our east, Mexico, Singapore, Malaysia, Turkey, and even more recently, Indonesia also had demonstrated that it is possible. There's still ample play for growing economies to have a growing role in the aerospace industry. So we saw that even Aselsan, in the worst of COVID-19, Aselsan, a Turkish company working in avionics domain, was ranked the number one revenue growth company in the world. So so this is basically, this is where we see the value chain. The aerospace industry basically encompasses the largest value chain network compared to any other industry. So this is by the area. So it's not to become the OEM. In fact, it was a very hard truth that I came to know that once we are dealing with you, Pakistan Air Force uses an aircraft called SAB 2000, which is manufactured by SAB, and it's a wonderful aircraft. But SAB stopped producing it a while ago because of the extreme competition in the space. So this the platform business is very cutthroat, and it will take a while for us to really make a play in the global platform business. China, as we can see, is really, after decades of work, they're really at the edge of making an entry into this. So really what I want to emphasize with these couple of slides is that it's really partnering or entering into the value chain that is critical for Pakistani industry, Pakistani companies, and for that they need assistance. And India, I just basically am showing some figures from our eastern neighbor, and they've had huge success, and where they basically grew their aerospace industry from very grassroots level to where now it's a substantial presence worldwide, and they're taking part and in the value chain in a big time. So countries, companies like Wipro, Infosys, which were to start with very IT companies, they basically focused their attention into the aerospace sector and found ample opportunities to push their revenues into the billion-dollar mark. Mexico is another example that we consider. We looked at it in depth. It used its proximity to the U.S. industry and the low-cost labor availability, proximity to the U.S. Aerospace industry. They grew their aerospace industry into the billion-dollar mark within a span of 4 years. So that's another success story that basically. So what I can share is that. Okay, let me push this here so we can. So it's truly the low-cost labor, geolocation advantage, proximity to suppliers and market, higher potential in IT and services sectors, MRO capability, and a growing domestic demand that is a catalyst for a country like Pakistan to make a play in the aerospace industry. So with that in background, and if you look at all of these as elements which were critical to success of all the examples I just cited, Pakistan gets to have a ranking somewhere there. So that led us to a report which was compiled for aerospace business attractiveness. This is a 2018 report which we're looking at when we were drafting the concept for National Aerospace Science and Technology Park. And what we noticed was that Pakistan, when you rank, we ranked somewhere 57, and most of our performances in cost and industry and and some of the other areas, we were not doing that bad, but it was the infrastructure, tax policy, ease of business, and some of those things which are really keeping Pakistan back to make a bigger play, what its true potential. So this required some kind of a public intervention to fix this. And while things in Pakistan have a lot of inertia to come about as far as the business level maturity is concerned to make a serious and play, we saw a opportunity in the form of creating these small islands of excellence where you can build the aerospace industry of Pakistan. So I think most of our audience would be familiar with the Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, CAMRA, which represents practically the majority of the footprint of the aerospace industry. So this has grown from organically from a maintenance, repair, and overhaul for defense jets of the Pakistan Air Force. This capability has now grown to where we are producing. We have an active play in the global aerospace industry where we are selling aircraft such as Super Mashak, the GF-17 aircraft, which you keep here appearing in the news every now and then, which is an international product. It's a joint product between the Chinese aerospace industry and Pakistan, but with a significant contribution from the Pakistani side as well. So looking at that huge infrastructure and its potential, and coupled with the capabilities that has emerged around it, the leadership of Pakistan Air Force, they basically said, let's really grow this at a national level. So this is where the concept of National Aerospace Science and Technology Park took shape. And what we basically started off was drafting the coming up with a focus areas of technology areas. Most of these have already been actually presented in Dr. Azam's presentation that pertain to, but we really were focusing on looking at doing an in-house analysis that where does the Pakistani potential stands in if it has to make a play into the global aerospace industry. And truly what manifested was that the majority of the capacity actually belongs in the public sector. And as Dr. Azam pointed out, that it's really the collaboration between the public and private, the P3 concept, that has been utilized world over. So it is about time that the billions and billions of dollars of investment that has been poured into the public sector, and which has produced remarkable results also, that you should be utilized for the growth of the aerospace industry in Pakistan. So that's the concept. We basically, what is generally known as the triple helix model of innovation, that's what we basically utilized. And we are looking at NASTA playing a catalyzing role for bringing about this. So what you see here is the pentahelix model of innovation, in which is truly just a glorified way of adding the civil society's role and the environment's role into the triple helix model. But triple helix model has been is a cliche which is used all over. But what needs to be understood is that while you bring these, how to bring these together. So the government, industry, and academia naturally they have while they have good overlaps in the technology areas, but they have very distinct personalities. They have distinct limitations that prohibit them to freely interact. So it's really the ecosystem and the collaborating environments that motivate and catalyze the interaction between this. So this is the gap that we identified and we targeted to be filled up by the initiative now we call the National Aerospace Science and Technology Park. And we visualized an ecosystem of technologies, ecosystem of services and various, which comprises from putting together under one umbrella academia and vocational training in the primarily focused on the aerospace domain, the national and international aerospace industry. If you need to create a club where they can actually come and collaborate, bring all the design and R&D capabilities to grow and foster relationships with the manufacturing and production capabilities in the country. One very critical aspect is certification, the role certifications play in the aerospace industry. I think which comes very natural to the Western industries with the Federal Aviation Authority, FAA, and very mature certification setups in the West. Pakistan had been struggling in this domain. Our civil aviation is mostly focused on regulating the civil aviation operations, but as far as the development and industry growth of industry is concerned, there were huge gaps. So this is an area that the Pakistan Air Force has also made a play. So we brought that forth, that organization to the mix of the aerospace parks as well. Then incubating technologies through initiatives like the National Incubation Center for Aerospace Technologies in collaboration with Ignite. That is a major initiative. Then to catalyze all of that innovation into viable businesses, you need to have endowments, funding, and then marketing exposure, the roadshow value for to be able to locally as well as internationally, and in the end, basically government playing its role of providing the patronage, regulation, incentivizing wherever the gaps are. So government is essentially through its funding and through its legislation lowers the risk for new innovation to come in, and that is what the focus should be for the major.
So Tosif, we're running short of time, so if you can please wrap up.
जी मैं आपको जल्दी से just quickly I want to because if it was in the presentation, okay, let me see. Okay, so what we have come up is with basically a plan to create these national aerospace and science and technology parks across the country. So at the moment, there are 4 major parks taking shape, in which the NASTEP Rawalpindi is already operational for last 6 months now. And this is where the NECAT, where Mr. Imran is hosting this webinar from, and followed by a park in Lahore, a park in Karachi. And what is good to know about that, these parks actually is the first inroads where the private industry is making. So as we speak, we have more than 150 companies which have made the NASTEP Rawalpindi their home, and they span all diverse areas from aerospace, IT, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity companies which are taking shape there. So on the second, we have the Lahore Park, which is basically coming up shortly. We have an open house there on 25th. The private sector is invited. So in all of these setups, the private sector is playing a big role in coming in, and we have made created an ecosystem where companies starting from pre-incubation setup to startups, SMEs, and all the way to anchor companies, large companies. So I think even we can ask Mr. Azam to put in a good word with Boeing to actually plan a visit and maybe have a footprint in Pakistan to set up their shop and to work out. So sure. Just before I close, just the first aerospace vertical NIC, which is the NECAT, which this came about in January this year. It's a joint partnership with Ministry of IT and Telecom, and this is their first aerospace vertical NIC in the country. This is the highly funded NECAT, and as we speak, we have more than 24 companies, 28 companies already joined in the first cohort, out of which 70% are aerospace companies working with their, drone technologies. We also have basically joint venture with a private company called Daftar Khan, and they've set up a co-working facility where it's an international class facility. You just need to, if you want to taste or experiment with what the park has to offer, you just basically bring your laptop and your machines and you're ready to go. So we are already working around, and so in summary, just I'll close with this. NASDAP is basically offering and developing a sustainable ecosystem for aerospace technologies in Pakistan. So this is really a new, it's a really and very exciting time for Pakistani startups, technology-focused startups, which can explore opportunities not only in the global IT industry, but also use the aerospace platform to find new inroads for their technologies. So, and we are promoting innovation in the aerospace sector from the grassroots level. The core of all this setup is to focus inwards on our HR, human resource, and using the aerospace industry as a platform to generate highest quality human resource, and then create ample opportunities to ensure their retention in the country. So facilitating national private sector and collaborating with them is our main mantra, and providing them opportunities internationally, also using our G2G links. Especially a lot of exciting stuff is happening with Turkey, and even as recent as this month, we have had visits from Aerospace, the EASA in Europe. And so really we are reaching out to building these connections to support the nascent aerospace industry in Pakistan. And in the process, what we are looking at is that once you have grassroots high-tech products, which we in the NECAT context called deep tech, then we want to explore not only benefits in the aerospace industry, but the spin-offs in the some of the other associated areas. So just one quick plug for another very exciting. This will be interesting for some of our viewers, that the park is also basically has undertaken a project called Green AI, which is an initiative by the government of Pakistan to bring aerospace and advanced AI IT technologies to the agriculture sector. So this is a multi-billion rupee project which is being run from the NASDAP platform. And this is a triple helix project with industry, academia. Arid University, Rawalpindi is a consortium member, and we are reaching out to the private sector. All of this development will be co-developed with SME sector in Pakistan. So all of this budget is going into under the technology leadership of National Aerospace Science and Technology Park. So with that, Imran, sorry for going overboard by a few minutes, but I think this was critical that it came out, and then we can take some of the questions from our audience in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tausif sir. This is really important. So that this is the first conversation we have started where we have Dr. Azam Saab has shown up the global landscape, and Dr. Tausif has presented the national landscape. And that's what our motive is, that we want to bridge the global landscape, Pakistani landscape to the global landscape, so that we create new companies. We wish and hope and pray to see the Boeings of this world coming from Pakistan, or the companies working with Boeing, supplying some parts to the Boeing. And that's really is the mission. We have some good comments as well and some questions as well. Thank you very much, my colleague Noor, for providing all the backstage support. Can you please help us with the comments and the questions? Sultan Sikandar Sab is keeping in the view the importance of satellite communication as the key to success for any developing country. Essential trends in development of satellite communications and introduces promising future applications for Pakistan. Where does Pakistan stands? Sir Tausif.
Okay, great. I think it's because the question is pertaining to Pakistan. So what I can tell you, especially from the NASDAP point of view, that The NASTEP is involved in the CubeSat project. The Green AI project that I just shared, we are developing low-cost SATCOM solutions. So as we speak, we have indigenously developed SATCOM antennas being locally developed by our space division. And we are also currently working on developing low-cost modems and multiplexes for providing rural area uplink, downlink capabilities to link the precision agriculture sensing data up to the agriverse. So we are developing a national precision agriculture cloud, which is going to be linking. So for that, the backbone is being developed indigenously, and projects are underway. We are also in joint venture with some of our international colleagues building CubeSats. We're building communication. We are also partnering with communication technology. So as you know, Pakistan developed its ParkSat 1 hour satellite quite a while back, which is available for local. I think the satellite still has unutilized bandwidth for people who want to utilize it. I know I have utilized this for a couple of applications in the Air Force. So so this is a very exciting time as Dr. Azam pointed out that the barriers to entry into the space sector, they have been lowered, especially with the advent of low Earth or LEO satellites and these inexpensive CubeSats. The barrier to entry is really lowered, and it is possible for countries like Pakistan. Just today, I think Imran Saab shared a picture of a Saudi female astronaut, first female
Yes,
astronaut. So I think it's not very far off. We'll see a Pakistani female astronaut, I think, in a very short term.
inshallah.
And every time I go to NECAT, I see the vision to go to Mars, which really motivates me every time I'm there. So I think we have as Pakistan, we have a play in the aerospace in the space sector as well as the aerospace sector across the board. So there's some things which are maybe can be considered low hanging fruits, and other are maybe would take us about some time to mature. But as Dr. Azam before the session said, the journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. So we are taking baby step at the moment, but surely we are very positive we'll get there, inshallah.
Thank you very much, sir. And this is mostly a comment from Abdullah Afzal, where he praises Dr. Azam's talk, and especially he's in love with CubeSats. And I really feel, as Dr. Azam mentioned, this CubeSat is something where Pakistan can have an early entry, and Pakistan can start from in the satellite race, because delivering the large payloads is probably not the right time for Pakistan. We are not prepared for that. Another question that we have got from multiple people is that what are the impacts of current economic and political challenges on the aerospace industry and in general, and in specific, and in general all the industries in Pakistan? To both of you, Dr. Azam and Dr. Tafsir.
So I can take those questions. I think the CubeSat, I think we've talked about that enough. It's a it's easy way to get into it brings excitement, and I think the CubeSat development program should go down to individual universities. Final year projects should be based on group CubeSat development, give them a mission to do, getting maybe a imaging project or some other things that's required, and then the team builds entire satellites, launches it. And again, this is not far-fetched. It's been done around and can be done in a very low cost way. So this invigorates. I also see aerospace is the tip of the spear of technology. It brings the entire technological base of the country forward. That's why most other countries, developed countries, have put money in here, because it brings what I call twinkle in the kids' eyes. They see space, you see planes, you see it. It helps them think out of the box. This links with your second question: how do we get out of our present economic mess? I think what the way conditions that we have in Pakistan are bad, extremely bad. No ifs and buts about it. But I don't think that's permanent. That's temporary. We are a very resilient nation, hopefully, and I hope and pray we'll get out of this in one piece. The things that will pull us out of this piece, my danger is, my worry is, we shouldn't scar the younger population with this mess that we elders have created in Pakistan, political mess. Their life is too precious to be worried about it. We need to provide them the education and the tools and the vision and the dreams that they can build their lives on. So it'll be a very sad day if we kill these dreams of the younger population because of the mess that the elder population have done because we couldn't get our acts together. So I think it's even more important today to make sure we have the education right, the training right, and give them opportunities in those areas. And again, thank God, because the barrier to entry is low. It's not doesn't cost as an arm and like, you know, compared to one particular asset when you're building buying a fifth generation, sixth generation fighter plane from a country X, we can produce a lot more small things internally and create dreams and employment and careers for a whole variety of Pakistani youngsters. So I think it's even more important now than ever.
So I think, Doctor, quickly add to what Dr. Azam has said. Uh, as there's no denial that Pakistan is going through a tumultuous area, and it is. I think it is vital that as a society we realize from our failures and our difficulties that we face as a country. Uh, the lessons have to be learned in that domain. But for technologists, I think the air has never been so ever so positive. I think the moment you will set up in NASTAP the electric air of technology that will really captivate you, and it'll isolate you from the negativity which is going around. So stop listening to the news, put your head down, and focus, because there's whether because what if you come to NASTAP, what we show you is that with very little resources, your country in the public sector, which is basically people like yourself, with very basic training, they have achieved great things. We're building our own radars. We're building our own communication systems, avionics systems, state of the art, comparable with anything in the world. So that tells you really the potential that the Pakistani youth has. But then now coming to the private sector, what has happened in the IT industry without really much support from elsewhere? They've built a $2 billion industry, which really, if I say it has to be evaluated more than 10 billion, is being undersold. So all
Yes.
that potential is what is there. As Pakistanis, we should be very proud of. These difficulties are temporary. I fully agree with Dr. Azam. And this is the time when we need to put our heads down, focus on what we can do, and use the globalization of technology, the virtualization of technology. COVID has provided us avid
Exactly.
opportunities to,
God was a
to
blessing in
connect with the world.
disguise.
Yes, now the world is ever more ready to connect with you remotely. You don't have to leave the comfort of your home, the warmth of your parents, and all that. You just stay here, and I think NASTEP is an ideal platform for you to come in for that positive air. So we are creating these parks. I just showed you 4 parks that are coming about in the major cities, but there are 9 more which are coming off grid in smaller cities. Kharia, for instance, Jacobabad, wherever we have presence, we are creating these small science and technology parks, again in cooperation with the government ministries, IT, Ministry of IT, Ministry of Science and Technology, PSEB is our partner. We're creating these so that the youth of Pakistan, they can actually connect to this opportunity. So I think the message is very positive. Let the politicians figure out their mess. We are technologists. Let's focus out and figure out technology for Pakistan.
Right. Again, I would like to add, I have been working with all universities in Pakistan for the last 2, 3 years. Since after my retirement, I spend a lot of my time with Pakistani universities and youth, and I'm absolutely amazed as the talent of Pakistan. The Pakistan's biggest asset, in my view, is the youth. 70% of the population is youth, and very talented, very vibrant, and they are second to none. And also, so that is one part, and good, and they have access to world technology. Second thing is the way the technology is moving. Fortunately, most of the things are things that we can do in Pakistan. Most of them are software related. If we have a good laptop, You don't need, as I said earlier, before it required huge capital intensive industries, huge machines, huge industries. So that is no longer the case. You can build a lot of things, a lot of products by and services and subcomponents and sub products on your laptop, sitting anywhere in any village in Pakistan, and with the good connectivity. So opportunities are here, and the flip side of that is everybody else in the world is thinking the same way. So if we don't avail this opportunity, somebody else will. So we got to make sure that the youth do avail these opportunities, and we need to, as a government, we need to provide all those platforms and the facilities to make sure we don't miss on this revolution.
Dr. Azam, I think it's very important because from your platform, you have the direct experience of the global aerospace industry. I think the mentoring that needs to go down to our youth, because traditionally the qualities of work and the diligence in our work, this is the area we need to focus on. So that's what the aerospace industry and mentors like your good self, I think if that mentorship is available through platforms like NECAT, I think our youth can be coupled, and we can very quickly. Once we figure out these success stories, I think we as a nation are very fast in taking. We were able to replicate these things very quickly. So that
That's
I think
exactly
that
correct. I'm a founding member of an organization called Aspire Pakistan. This is exactly what we're doing for in all areas. Not only aerospace is one of them, but a wide variety of areas in education, in medicine, and in health, and construction, and IT, and virtual reality, in intelligence. So we're doing a variety of areas. Exactly doing it, trying to connect the diaspora, the expertise that we have, trying to see if we can do a capital transfer, not instead of capital transfer, do intellectual transfer, and connecting it with the individuals and youngsters there, and try to pull them out and provide them opportunity. So we're doing exactly that in a very organized way.
Thank you very much, sir. We are running short of time. Actually, we are overrun. We've overrun the time. Otherwise, there are some more questions and lovely comments. We would love to continue this discussion in the next session as well. Dr. Azam is going to stay with us, both as NICAT and NASTAP. He's all for providing his expertise and feedback to the Pakistani youth. We're really grateful to you, Dr. Azam Arastu, for sharing your thoughts and vision with us. Thank you very much, sir. And then I'm really grateful to Dr. Tawseef for sharing the NASTAP vision and his thoughts as well. And I'm really excited that I'll sleep well tonight, that we are doing something positive. We're trying to contribute towards the development of Pakistan. These testing times are just temporary. We are a resilient nation, as Dr. Azam said. We will prevail, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Is there any parting thought from your side?
Again, I would like to commend you for this initiative. I think it's high time. I think the initiative is really, really good, and also setting up an incubation center, special vertical just for aerospace technologies was highly required, because we need centers of excellence to focus both technologies and the human, and build the human capital from those sectors. So all the initiatives are good, and I think these sessions would help guide and basically shape these ventures in a possible way. And again, I would offer my services. I'm available for any Pakistani projects anytime. After my retirement, my 100% goal is for give back. That's it, and there's no questions asked. And I'm available. You can take my details from Dr. Imran, and if anybody wants to contact me for anything, I'm available. And again, I can say the same thing for many of my friends who are here, who have got gray hairs like me. I spent years. They are in the same mode. It's incredible how much we focus, and we all have the same burning desire to give back in the best possible way.
Thank you very much, sir. We're grateful for your support, and this is just the beginning of our interaction series. We look forward to many more exciting sessions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, we're signing off. Thank you very much, Dr. Azam. Thank you very much, Dr. Tawseef. I'm Imran signing off for today from this session, and we'll be coming back with more experts, as Dr. Azam said, here's from around the world. Thank you very much. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Imran. Allah Hafiz.